One of the common questions we get asked with clients that are building up their portfolio is whether they are overexposed in a particular area. Of course, we're talking about diversification. However, there are many different types of diversification that we need to look at. Obviously, the first one is whether we are exposed with too many properties in the one area. The others are whether we are exposed with too much loans with the one lender, and certainly whether we have got too many of the one category of properties that are possibly owned by the one entity. Let's talk about diversification within the area. If you are holding multiple properties within a state, but they are all across different suburbs, and you are just a small portion of a very large market, I feel that there is diversification enough in terms of even being within the same state. Because the key to investing is to be buying within an area that has got an upward trajectory. In other words, the values are increasing and the rental market is relatively buoyant. As opposed to be investing in regional areas where if you had, say, a similar number of properties, that might become a bit more of a concern within the portfolio as you are a large player in a relatively small market. So it's important to diversify in terms of your exposure within the market as to how big you are as a property owner in terms of the number of properties that you control within that niche market. Obviously, then the second thing that comes on is diversifying the lenders, because you don't want to put all of your eggs in the one basket. Just in case the particular lender has a change in their appetite in terms of how they are viewing their property investors, or indeed whether they are then running their interest rates contra to what other lenders are doing. In other words, they are increasing their interest rates a lot faster than the others. If you've got your entire portfolio set with that one lender, you're pretty much at their beck and call in terms of how your portfolio performs. One of the common problems you would have if you have all of your loans with the one lender is that first of all, you may not be able to borrow as much money because the lender is looking at your entire portfolio as a weighted risk. In other words, they put a higher interest rate on assessing your loans, even though you're paying, say, 2 to 3% lower than the interest rate they're assessing you with. So if you diversify your lenders, you're able to then qualify for a higher amount of loans. You're able to also rapidly maneuver in terms of finance to capture more opportunities. In other words, you're able to rapidly refinance and you're able to get concessions from different lenders as they're more keen for your business. The third type of diversification I want to touch on is the type of entity or the holding vehicle that you use for your properties. Obviously, each property has got a plan with it in terms of what you're going to do, whether you're going to build a granny flat on it, whether it's a buy and hold for long term, or whether it is something that you're going to do multiple dwellings on. And therefore, each property needs to be thought through in terms of what the end process is going to be, and that helps determine which entity you hold that property under. And obviously, as you hold under multiple entities, not only does it give you that flexibility in chopping and changing things, on the flip side, it also does lead to a little bit more of complication in terms of doing your tax returns. However, diversifying in terms of which lender you use and which entity you utilize can certainly go hand in hand. And then obviously, there is the price diversification. In other words, if you were able to qualify for a loan of, say, $700,000, yet you chose to go down the path of buying two $350,000 properties in equally comparable areas. In other words, the growth factors are relatively the same as opposed to the $700,000 property. Your diversification is twofold. First off, you've got two properties working independently of each other in terms of growth. And secondly, you are not lumped with the entire $700,000 mortgage repayment if your property is vacant. When you've got two $350,000 properties, it is unlikely that both of them would be vacant at the same time, and therefore you're not required to come up with the entire mortgage repayments for a full $700,000 mortgage. And therefore, it makes sense to diversify your portfolio in the different categories that we've discussed. And a good diversified portfolio allows you to maneuver, allows you to be able to take advantage of opportunities as they present to you, and also to be able to weather the different market conditions as they arise.